There is no question that Apple makes an unbelievable amount of money. In fact, last quarter they exceeded $1 billion in revenue for the first time. But what's even more impressive is their huge mountain of cash. Almost 200 billions, more than any other companies in the world. This is the complete 180 from where they were 2 decades ago, when Apple had just escaped the bankruptcy. So how were they able to make so much money so quickly to become the most valuable company in the world? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to explain in this video. Alright, now one of the biggest reasons Apple is doing so well today is due to their business strategy, which was way ahead of its time. Back in the 80s, computer companies like Microsoft made money licensing their operating system. But Jobs refused. Instead, hedging his bets on hardware sales, believing that you can only create a great product if you retain control over the hardware and software. And you can only charge a premium for hardware if it's objectively better than the competition. The problem with the strategy in 80s and 90s was that most of the customers didn't see the difference between Mac and PCs, at least not enough to justify the Mac higher price. This resulted in Apple controlling only a small share of the computer market, but their focus on hardware and software integration and optimization would become much more valuable to the customers as the industry shifted towards the mobile device. Apple first caught a glimpse of this with MP3 players. There were many cheap models on the market, but their iPods became a runaway success, eventually capturing almost 80% of the music playing market. And that's because optimization is crucial when it becomes to a battery life, portability, and ease of use, something Apple already had experience with, but other companies like Sony and Microsoft didn't. The iPods click while navigation made browser music effortless. Its software integration was intuitive and easy to understand, and adding music was simple since almost everyone was familiar with iTunes. Not to mention that iTunes Music Store, which worked seamlessly with the iPod. Apple designed their hardware to operate flawlessly with their software, which operated flawlessly. And users began to notice that tangible benefits of that seamless integration with the iPod, which is why they didn't mind paying a premium for the device even though there were alternatives available in the market for half the price. The iPod's high profit margin and high sales volume contributed to Apple monumental growth rate from 2001 to 2007, where the company grew 25 to 100% nearly every year. This was the beginning of Apple's most profitable era, and they were in the unique position to do something not other tech companies could, that is, creating an ecosystem where every product became a wild success. This was very crucial to Apple's explosive growth. They couldn't simply release a new product that sold short as well like a Macintosh in its early days. They needed each device to perform like the iPod, dominating their respective markets with high profit margin to deliver record-breaking revenues. And that's exactly what happened. Apple moved quickly, releasing the iPhone in 2007, their most profitable product ever. It was a hit right away and immediately spiked Apple's annual revenue. But the iPad release just 3 years later took things to a whole new level. Everyone expected that Apple tablet to cost at least $1,000. So when Steve Jobs announced its starting price of $500, the hype surrounding the product grew even more than the iPhone. Once it went on sale, the iPad became the fastest selling consumer electronic in the history. By 2011, Apple annual revenue had grown to over $100 billion, making them the most valuable company in the world. This came just 2 weeks before Jobs would retire as CEO from Apple. Now, if you're wondering what a day in the life of a Steve Jobs as a CEO was really like, I will be making a video about that soon, so be sure you are subscribed for that. But one downside of creating a product that sells so well is that achieving the market saturation becomes inevitable, which means it's pretty much impossible to find a new consumer, and you can only make money from exiting consumers upgrading that device they already own. Apple tried to remedies that focusing on emerging the market like China and India where their products aren't popular. But because of this price sensitivity of those countries, sales of Apple products didn't increase the way they had hoped, and a new strategy was needed to boost the revenue. So Apple took two approaches. First was the decision to increase the price of almost everything. This for the most part took place in 2018 when the iPhone and iPad base prices increased by $50 and the Apple Watch by $70, the Mac Mini by $300 and MacBook Air by $200. This price bumps were pure profit for Apple since the manufacturing cost of this product were the same. Second was the focus on growing their service business, which allowed Apple to capitalize on the exiting user base with a recurring monthly payment. That was led to the creation of Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcades, Apple News Plus, and Apple Fitness Plus. These services were also very profitable since their costs were fixed no matter how many people were signed up. So how effective were the strategy in generating revenue for Apple? Well, after all the price increases of 2018, Apple had their most successful year since 2015, totaling $265 billion in revenue. But what happens next was even more impressive. Through the next 2 years, Apple began rolling out the various subscription services to their exiting users. Apple News Plus launched in March 2019, the Apple Cards in August 2019, and Apple Arcade in September 2019, and Apple Fitness Plus in December 2020. This flurry of the new service fueled even more revenue growth for the company, setting a new annual record in 2020 at over $274 billion. But perhaps the most noticeable things about how Apple makes so much money, it is virtually none of it from selling user data to advertisers. Although they do employ some targets ads on their news apps, App Store, it's on extremely a small scale and collect a much less data than the companies like Facebook or Google. And I think Apple deserves some credit for this. User data has become most valuable things than oil, and Apple could be tracking their user base at any time to generate tens of billions in extra revenue. But since the beginning, they have refused to do this, acknowledging that they had in the unique position to charge more for that product by providing a superior experience and treating their users with dignity by handling their private data responsibly. And so far, that approach has proven to be the most profitable since Apple remains the most valuable tech company in the world with the ability to sell a high margin product. Alright, so that is how Apple makes so much money. I hope you like this video and make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. My name is Thanus. You are watching Thanus Talk. I'll catch you in the next one. See you.